I think that among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. And if you've already failed, you don't want to fail again. The pain of that, the disappointment. Many of us don't act because we want other people's approval. We want everybody to like us and to accept us. We're settling for less than what we actually deserve. We don't feel good about it, but we make it work in our minds. We'll come up with some kind of excuse to make it all right.
You're waiting for someone to give you the opportunity. You're waiting for everything to line up. You're waiting for all the situations to come together perfectly. And I'm telling you, you cannot wait. You got to start working right now.
Fault and responsibility do not go together. It sucks, but they don't. When something is somebody's fault, we want them to suffer. We want them punished. We want them to pay. We want it to be their responsibility to fix it, but that's not how it works, especially when it's your heart. Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility and your responsibility alone.
Your life can change. Your life can be more than just a place. It can be your future, your success. This change takes courage. It takes courage to stand up and break down the aspects of your life that you know is holding you back. Let your progress be idolized. Let it speak for itself.
There is no excuse for not living up to your fullest potential. No excuse.
I have never met anybody who became incredibly successful in any area of their life until they had suffered and sweated and sacrificed and kept their focus and fought through tears and trials and tests. And if you have a dream and you commit to it, it will come to pass. Do you believe anything bad enough to fight for it and sweat for it and work for it?
If you capture more life, then you will see you have more grace. The depth, dimension and scope of your life is determined by how much life you capture within you. If you have not captured substantial life within you, you will live a small life. That's how it is.
I believe that all of us have a responsibility that we want to live a life that will outlive us. The work that you're doing. There are people that you will never meet, whose lives that you've transformed, that you're living a life that will outlive you. Just think about the fact that this program has given a lot of people hope, and there's hope in the future. It gives you power in the present. Every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide. But because of something you say or some guest that you've invited, and as they share their story, you interrupt that story of being hopeless and powerless and not wanting to be here anymore. And because they took the time to watch, you create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. And so at the end of the program, at the end of one of your presentations, there are people who, because of you, their lives will be transformed and they will become a pencil, as Mother Teresa would say, in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter with their lives.
So you've talked about the little voice that people have, the need to create quiet space to hear that. Combine that with the notion of the culture sort of chipping away at people, and whether it's based on race and oppression, or whether it's just the school system teaching you to be a good cog in the machine, or whatever other things people have to fight against. How can people that are listening to this now, especially if they're an adult that's got all those labels put on them, that's had their creativity squished, what process do they do to hear the voice? What sort of communion can they do to create that imagination that's going to allow them to get out of that and move towards something new?
That's the reason why you designed this program, you and your team, for them to do that they have to expose themselves to something that will give them a different vision of themselves. And in addition to that, they have to put themselves in a community of what I call OQP, only quality people. A gentleman who dramatically transformed my life, I was a junior at Booker T. Washington High School in Miami, Florida, and I went in his class looking for another friend, and he said, go to the board and work this problem out for me. I said, sir, I can't do that. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, do it anyhow. And the other kids started laughing, saying, he's Leslie, he's DT. And he said, what's DT? His brother is smart, but he's the dumb twin. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he pointed at me and said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And he taught me 3 things. He said, if you want to become successful in life, young man, he said, number 1, you got to change your mindset. He said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Number 2, practice OQP, only quality people. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. And the 3rd thing he said, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
So from here, now, you're giving your TED Talk, right? You got to give, which you've done before, but let's say you have your 18 minutes and you want to you talk about the 10 keys for unlocking your quick brain, right? And you're just like, hey, the research says 1/3 of it is predetermined by genetics biology, 2/3 in your control. These are the 2/3. Number 1, you just walk around my office and you get triggered. So everyone could say this out loud because we want to make it interactive. Number 1 is not the place is the parking lot, but what are you doing there?
Brain food.
Yeah,
it's
brain
everywhere.
foods. Eat your brain foods.
Right.
Perfect. You go over to the second place. The second place is the what?
The bridge.
The bridge. And what's the brain tip?
I'm squashing the ants.
Yeah, squash those ants. Automatic negative thoughts.
Right.
And then from there, you go into the building, you get into the what?
Elevator.
Elevator. And what do you do in the elevator?
I'm exercising.
Exercising. Exercising.
Burpees.
Great for the brain. It gets the heart rate going, really good for the brain, especially in the first thing in the morning. And then from the elevator, you get out and you're immediately right in the 4th place, which is the what?
Hallway.
Hallway. And what's all over the floor?
All of this supplements, right?
Yeah.
All of my nutrition, brain nutrition.
Yeah, brain nutrition.
Right.
And that's number 4. And then you go into the room, my office, immediately to the left is the 5th place. You open up the what?
Closet.
Closet. And who's in the closet?
My peer group. They're
Your
all
positive
hanging
group.
out. They're stuck to each other, and
Yes.
then they're all getting along with each other and having fun.
They're positive, and they're positive. Good friends are good for your brain. From there, you get out of the closet. You talk to the who? Receptionist. And what are they doing?
They're keeping everything clean.
Clean.
The air clean, the water
Yep.
clean, the environment
Clean environment's good for the clean internal environment for your brain. And then from there, behind the receptionist is the
fish tank.
And what are they doing?
They're sleeping.
They're
not,
sleeping.
Not just any sleep, the good sleep.
They're getting the deep sleep, which is
Right.
good for your brain. And then from there, you're going to the class. You open up
I thought I lost this, but I got it. The door. With my head, and I make sure I've been careful with my brain. No brain injuries.
Yeah, no brain injuries because you're wearing that helmet. And then immediately up front of the classroom, I'm drawing on the what?
The big whiteboard. And it says in big red letters, new learning.
New learnings. New learnings, good for the brain. And finally, number 10, what's on the side? All those Japanese plants.
Bonsai trees.
And what does that remind you of?
Reminds me of stress management. I'm meditating on the bonsai.
Manage your stress. Because fight or flight, stress is good for fight or flight, physical, but not if you need to take a test. Not if you need to give a presentation at work. Those are the 10 keys for unlocking your quick brain. And the thing is, when I go through that, notice you could do all that, but not sleep, you're not in good shape. Right? Everyone wants to know the one thing. You can do all that, be deficient in B12, you can be in challenging. You can be with all that and be with energy vampires, and it's gonna suck the mental energy out of you. You wonder why you're just mental fog, brain fog, and you're losing it. Every single thing is important. And so my goal is genius leaves clues, that it's not a mystery. We just have to do it. Just like going back to this, that first you create your habits and then your habits create you.
An ability to control your levels of stress in real time is extremely powerful. It turns out you can do this using physiology and neuroscience. Your breathing can directly impact your heart rate and your level of stress or calm. Here's how it works. When you inhale, your diaphragm moves down. This creates more space in your thoracic cavity, and your heart actually gets a little bit bigger. As a consequence, the rate of blood flow through that larger heart volume slows down. A signal is sent from a group of neurons on your heart called the sinoatrial node. That signal goes up to the brain, and your brain sends a signal to speed the heart up. In other words, inhaling speeds your heart rate up. The opposite is true as well. When you exhale, your diaphragm moves up. Your heart gets a little bit smaller because there's a little bit less space in your thoracic cavity. As a consequence, blood flows more quickly through that smaller volume. The sinoatrial node registers that and sends a signal to your brain, and the brain sends a signal to slow the heart down. So in other words, inhaling speeds your heart rate up, exhaling slows your heart rate down. So if you want to speed up your heart rate and be more alert, inhale more or make those inhales more vigorous, more intense. If you want to calm down, you can do that quickly by making your exhales slightly longer than your inhales or making them more vigorous. This doesn't require any breath work. This is something that you can do in real time. And that's what's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. That's the technical phrase. It's also the basis of what's called heart rate variability, or HRV. But all you need to remember is inhaling deeper and longer will speed your heart rate up. Exhaling longer and more intensely will slow your heart rate down and will allow you to calm down in real time.